All right, Eddie Traxler here. This is another hopefully exciting episode of Jazz Chat. You can reach us jazzchat.org. Also, the wonderful people at FATV. They're a nonprofit, so if you're looking to do some, for donations for your taxes, or if you're just a really cool person, this is a great place. Lots of resources, and does a lot for our community of Fitchburg, Massachusetts. I have a good friend who has been on my show a couple of times, and probably for me one of the earlier people I met in the music business that when I first moved out here, I think 2002. And I think Paul was doing. I had worked with Paul over at Thayer, and they were playing at some coffee shop or restaurant or something, and you were there. But anyway, you were a professional musician, and then you kind of drifted other directions, and then you're back to doing like history and incorporating music with that.
Yeah, so it's pretty exciting, because after I stopped performing professionally, I became a writer and wrote a lot of history. And then I said, wow, I can't play like I used to for one reason or another, but I can certainly put some pretty good shows together that incorporate the music. And the music plays such an important part of what we don't read about in history.
Yeah, it does. And I'm all about that too, And it's a shame that, like the earlier stuff, the really early, when you study music history, that all we know about is kind of the church music, because those are the only ones who knew how to write. I mean, but we know there were like troubadours, trouvettes, and stuff, but they really didn't have a way of writing it down. But as far as the artists' rendition of it, they looked like they were having fun.
Absolutely. So that's the first thing we played was called Shula Roon, which originally was an Irish tune, and here in America called Johnny Has Gone for a Soldier. And we never read about what happens to the women who are left behind in war. I've been putting together a Civil War program. And by the end of this, she said, I'll support you, I'll sell my goods, I'll sell my spinning thing, I'll sell my loom, and then the only thing I'll left to sell is myself.
Yeah.
And that's, that's a pretty important
It
measure.
is, and it is good to get that stuff out there, for sure. Because it wasn't just the men who did all the fighting.
No, there was a toll on everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially consider before this time there were no social services.
That's
true.
True.
If a woman was widowed with young children, she had to figure out how to survive.
And there was a poet composer from Fitchburg that someone put music to, Carolyn something.
Yeah.
I should have brought her
Mason.
song. Yeah. I should have brought some of her songs.
Yeah, Atherton Mason.
What's his name knows about Noel?
Noel does one of her things. I did one of Will They Miss Me at Home?
That's the one I've heard.
Yeah.
Cause
and that was like a hit.
Yeah, because someone else had put music.
North and South.
Yeah. That's something for Fitchburg, Massachusetts. I guess at one time was somewhat of a thriving.
It was very much a thriving community.
Yeah, and then as with a lot of cities, they went, on the wayside when the mills closed, and technology really is. Because my father was in textile business, and it's really technology that kills it. It's not the outsourcing like people want to.
Because paper for a long time was big in Fitchburg, but we simply couldn't build mills that were big enough to sell the huge widths of paper they needed. So they moved to where labor was cheaper and they could build bigger things, which is down south.
Yeah, and that, but also like is in the case of my father's business, a lot of the textile companies where we had like 100 employees, sewing and cutting and packaging, and then a big company like Haynes comes out with a machine that spits out a finished product. The machine costs $6 million, so the little guy can't afford that. So that and they're producing a product with one or two people watching the machine.
Yeah.
Where
because I went into Simon Saw and Steel, which at one point was the oldest business in Fitchburg, and they're the ones they had a factory with no windows, which was actually built for climate control. not to avoid being bombed. And when I went in there, it was very quiet. There were all these very enclosed machines, and they said they were putting out the same amount of product as they used to, and there were like maybe 10 cars in the lot.
Yeah.
So, it just changes.
And it is. But I think as far as how I ended up out here, and I've talked about this before, that, Boston, I was living in Boston, and this happens with a lot of cities. It has been going on since the 60s, that the artists kind of make the place really cool, and then they price the artist out. So then Greenwich Village in the 60s, or San Francisco in the 60s, but no one can afford to live. Not artists can't afford it. You're either
right,
have a really good job, or you've inherited a lot of money. But then I think we kind of edge toward the outskirts, and Fitchburg has been really good to me. Sometimes it gets a bad rap. But I've been able to work and teach as a musician since I've been here, and it is one of the lesser expensive places to live.
Around it sure is.
Yeah,
well, I think you gig more than any other musician I know.
And I really, I kind of just, I try to just show up and do the right thing. I mean, for musicians out there, that's the main thing. You got to show up. You got to show up on time.
Even if your dog dies, you have to show up to the show.
Yeah, I did one of my podcasts. I had a really bad cold. It was like, this show must go on.
That's right. That's what it's got to do.
Obviously, if you can't get up or something, we would have to cancel or something.
Yes.
But yeah, this is really interesting to me that you're incorporating this, and you have some upcoming shows and stuff that you would like to advertise, or
unfortunately I just did one in Fitchburg and one in Leominster last month, so none right near here. I've got some in Paxton. You can always stay in touch with me by going to my website where I have them listed, which is ANNEOC.com. Oh yeah, I've had that a long time.
So write that down. It's too bad we don't have it up here.
ANNEOC, Ann O'Connor.
Yeah, check out that website for sure, because I got to do that myself. Wow.
Yeah, it's work, but it's fun to do. And, I also use it to advertise the books that I've written. Sorry.
And
illustrations with them.
And you are a writer for the newspaper here, right? Too?
Yeah. I worked for the Lowell Sun, the Fitchburg Sentinel, and the weekly newspapers that they had. I left that for a little while, and then I went back to a brand new newspaper in Concord, Massachusetts, and I wrote for them for a while too.
That's awesome. And I think it's awesome that you're able to incorporate all your skills into this thing that you're doing, this teaching history and playing music, or teaching history through music. Is that what you would call it? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, music as an adjunct to what we can all read. We can all read. Okay. Well, they wrote the Declaration of Independence. So what? Not so what, but it doesn't tell you like what people are doing at home and why that was so important to them. And music is one way to find that out.
Yeah, and that is important to me. To bring out the facts rather than the a lot of it was, I'm sure, political propaganda in those days, but still
a lot of it was economic.
Yeah.
How much of it was economic?
Yeah, who knows? I mean, but people like you who do research it and bring these points out that that.
And it's a challenge. I mean, the most recent novel I wrote that I've actually finished was based on a working class family in Lowell during the Industrial Revolution and the Civil War, and to actually find out anything about people who weren't well educated was a complete challenge. I did find some things, but it was a challenge.
And you were originally from Fitchburg? You grew
from
up
Fitchburg,
here?
yeah.
Yeah, and you're obviously Irish descent, right?
Yes, mostly.
Your parents were immigrants? Or
no, we've been here a long time. The person that I based my book on was a great-great-grandfather who was born in Cambridge around 1824.
Okay, yeah. My family tracks was in this country way back, 17, I guess German. They first settled in Pennsylvania Dutch country, and then somehow migrated to the Carolinas. But but I don't, you know.
Well, they probably came with a few more resources than the Famine Irish did, which
Yeah.
a lot of my family was Famine
Yeah, my
Irish
wife
too.
is Irish descent, but she
Yeah.
doesn't, you know, she doesn't like have a lot of Irish pride or anything.
I don't know. It's a thing. I think I read somewhere that, you know, like being Irish is the only thing that continues down through multi-generations rather than just being, yeah, that's part of it.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, well, my wife is from Mission Hill, which is kind of an Irish section of Boston, and her father was from Charlestown, which was, you know.
Yeah, very Irish.
But I think her grandmother was, you know.
Was she an immigrant?
Yeah, yeah. But
Yeah, my great-grandfather was.
and some of that history, you read that the Irish weren't so well respected when they first came here.
They were despised.
In New York and.
I mean, they were needed for their labor.
Yeah. Yeah, they built most of Boston, is what I read.
A lot of the digging and carrying is what
And-
they did.
And the all the plaster work, a lot of that was Irish, right? And then
Oh, I didn't know about that.
this
That's, I
I
would
used
think
to
more
work with some
skilled.
Irish
Oh, okay.
people. And then, you know,
Yeah.
the Italians did the tile work, I guess, you know.
And the carving and
Yeah.
yeah.
But who knows? But really, that's quite interesting.
Yeah.
And you brought, so the first song we did was, what was that called?
That was called Shularoon, or Johnny Has Gone for a Soldier.
Cool, and that's a Civil War song, right?
A Civil War era song, Johnny Has
Uh-huh.
Gone for a Soldier, yeah.
Cool.
This next one is, I heard an Irish punk band playing it from the Midwest.
Uh-huh.
But it's a traditional song, and it's basically an anti-war song, so we can do a few verses of this.
Yeah, it sounds good.
Okay. So
And-
we're in E minor,
Yeah.
and I'll just start.
Yeah, take off on it so I
Okay.
don't count it off wrong.
Yeah, don't count it off wrong. My son John was tall and slim, and he had a leg for every limb. Now he's got no legs at all. They're both shot off with a cannonball. Roo-rum rye, fall a little die. Whack for my daddy with me, roo-rum rye. Well, were you drunk or were you blind to leave your two fine legs behind? Or was it from walking upon the sea that took your legs from the ground to the knee? Room, room, rye, fall a little die. Whack for the daddy with me, room, room, rye. Room, room, rye, fall a little die. Whack for my daddy with me, room, room, rye.
Sorry, I'm too used to playing jazz. I was trying to
That's okay.
my jazz licks on top of it.
Just to give people a
Kind of
taste.
a Wes Montgomery version of Irish songs. No.
Well, why not? I mean, you know, some.
No, that's a great tune, and you know, we really didn't rehearse these. We maybe went through them
Like one
briefly,
verse.
but if you know, I think I always encourage my students to practice, of course. But I think the more, you know, you do something to try to read something new every day, and you get better at this. I mean, when I first started playing, I wouldn't have been able to, you know, find the key and everything. But
Well, especially with the hen scratch that I gave you.
yeah, it's all right. Yeah, no, it's good. So that, you know, and it's a basic, you know, if you study basic theory, I can look at it. The chords she gave me, it pretty much stays in the key of E minor or G. G and E minor are the same key. No, doesn't really go out of key. So I can pretty much, if you're a rock player, you're used to that E minor pentatonic. You could just solo right in there if you wanted, you know.
Sure.
Cool. That was a great tune.
I like that tune.
And that's Civil War, right?
No, more just general Irish wars. But this next one is definitely Civil War, pre-Civil War. And I chose this one because you have to ask yourself, why did America go into a civil war?
Yeah, I've read a lot of different debates on that, and it wasn't really about slavery that everybody seems to want to.
Well, I don't
Dep-
know about that, Ed.
To a certain extent, of course, it was about money.
Well, yeah, but I think they kind of took the whole slavery thing, and rather than talking about it into is this good, is this bad, is this right, or is it wrong, the Southerners said it's my pocketbook. It's
Oh,
what
is
I
that
want.
is that yeah? That sounds more. I mean, because
Yeah.
of course it's wrong. I mean, you know, to me.
Yeah, of course it is.
Yeah.
Although I'll tell you, I've traveled down south and had people tell me that people wanted to remain enslaved, and they
Oh
knew
yeah,
that because
well
they
there
didn't move
were a
away.
lot of slaves that fought for the South that were treated great, but I
It was
don't.
the exception.
Yeah, but there were a lot that weren't as
Yeah.
well. You know.
Because I mean, what always amazes me about this is the South got a lot of their wealth because of the slavery.
Yeah.
However, that wealth was very concentrated in a few very well-to-do families.
Kind of like
It wasn't
now.
your average Joe. Well, I wasn't going to mention that.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So this is.
This is, I got to put my capo on. This
So-
is called Hard Times. It's by Stephen Foster.
Mm-hmm.
Stephen Foster wrote Camptown Racetracks. He did a lot of things that are very familiar to us. And this tune will sound very, very familiar to you too as we play it. But I chose this one because it shows some of the difficulties the country as a whole was facing. Hard times come again no more. People are hungry. People are poor. While we seek mirth and beauty and music light and gay, so if people want to have a good time, there are frail forms fainting at the door. Disease. Disease was a big thing here. Those frail forms and the pale drooping maiden who everybody fell in love with, those were people with tuberculosis. Those were
Wh-
people with...
What year was this?
This was the 1850s, I think, that he wrote
Yeah.
this in. So,
Yeah, but they didn't really know. My grandparents on my father's side were born in the late 1800s, and I used to, but they didn't know any way different, you know. So
Right.
they were able to accept it, you know.
yeah, if you caught tuberculosis, you'd
Yeah.
die.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it really wasn't until we really started with the germ theory and we started to have antibiotics that picture could change. In fact, even during the Civil War, I found this like really interesting. Your average Civil War soldier, North or South, was, I don't know what, slightly less than 30 years old, was a white Protestant, and was a country boy. The people who I researched were city folk. And they had the jump on that because there were still vaccinations like for smallpox, and they would have had them at work.
Yeah.
And the country people didn't because they didn't have to. And they had been exposed to a lot of the horrible diseases that could knock you out immediately. So that was one place where your city dwellers headed over the healthier country people.
Yeah, yeah, it was. Yeah, you see pictures of New York in that era. There was like so much, piles and piles of poop and trash and.
Yeah, I mean there were apartments without ventilation. It was
There
they
was-
didn't have sewers like we have.
Yeah, that was.
I mean, it was kind of gross, really. One thing down in New Orleans that they did, there was a very famous general who was a political general, which meant that they let him be because he raised money and raised troops. And he was one of the first occupiers of New Orleans, and they hated him. And they used to throw chamber pots out the window to try and get the Yankee soldiers. And he issued a thing that said, if any women shall, act like this, we're going to treat them as ladies of the night. And they got really upset. So somebody started making chamber pots with General Butler's picture on the bottom.
That's.
I've been looking for one. They've been reproduced.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. But anyway, hard times.
Hard times.
Let us pause in life's pleasures and count its many tears while we all sup sorrow with the poor. There's a song that will linger forever in our ears. Oh, hard times come again no more. 'Tis the song, the sigh of the weary. Hard times come again no more. Many days you have lingered around my cabin door. Oh, hard times come again no more. While we seek mirth and beauty and music light and gay, there are frail forms fainting at the door. Though their voices are silent, their pleading looks will say, oh, hard times come again no more. 'Tis the song, the sigh of the weary. Hard times come again no more. Many days you have lingered around my cabin door. Oh, hard times come again no more.
Awesome. That's a
Nice.
great tune. Yeah.
It is.
Hard Times by Stephen
Stephen
Foster. Check out Stephen Foster. He was not only a songwriter, right? It was poetry and
Yeah, he was mostly
literature.
songwriter. I don't think he ended well in his career. I
No,
think he was quite impoverished by the end.
really, yeah, that
Yeah.
seems to be the case, that a lot of people don't get to live to see themselves become famous.
But they also didn't have copyright laws like we do now either. So, somebody could hear the song and write it down and sell the sheet music.
Yeah,
And there was no protection at all.
yeah. I don't know that. When did copyrights
stuff?
come about?
I'm not sure. I'm going to say maybe early 1900s, late 1800s.
Cool.
Yeah.
Huh.
Shall we do more? How are we doing for time, Ed?
We're right now. We're at 22 minutes 31 seconds. So
Okay.
we have about 8 minutes left.
All right. Should we do John Brown's Body and Goober Peas? Or should
We can try it. Yeah.
All right.
Or if there's anything else you want to promote or talk about, I mean, whatever you
No.
prefer.
No, just, keep a lookout for what I'm doing.
Yeah, I'm trying. So yeah, those music people. She's capoing, but I'm not. So I'm transposing in my head.
Yeah.
But you kind of get used to that working with singers and stuff. They'll tell you, "Oh, I need it in a different key." But if you think about it in numbers, which I've discussed that a little bit, like a lot of session players, some people call it the Nashville numbering system, or it's where the chord is in the chord's within a key. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so, and it always goes major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished, major.
Yeah, except like if you play in minor keys, like a lot of these songs are.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but
then
this
you're
is your standard.
then you're
major
just starting
song
on
we're doing.
and ending on
Yeah.
the sixth, unless it's harmonic minor, melodic minor.
Yeah,
So,
other
but we
stuff
don't want to
gets
get
in. We
into
don't
that.
wanna- we don't-
That's for
we
another.
don't need to know that.
And really, you can always call me, look me up. Free intro lessons at my shop, or we can do online. We streamline that technique through that. I don't want to even say the word, that whole COVID thing that we were going through for a couple of years. So I do have, I can do online lessons as well. All right, John Brown's Body,
John
and we
Brown's
may
Body.
cut it off. We got about 6 minutes left. But
Okay, we'll just do a couple verses then.
sounds good.
John Brown's body lies a mouldering in the grave. John Brown's body lies a mouldering in the grave. John Brown's body lies a mouldering in the grave. His soul goes marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His soul is marching on. Want to take it away, Ed? Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His soul is marching on.
Cool. We still have, we got 4 minutes, 30 seconds.
Okay,
So the
good.
Goober Peas.
Goober peas, yeah, and I chose this one specially for you, Ed, because
All
this is
right.
a southern delicacy.
She said I knew this song, but
Have you eaten goober peas?
yeah, they sell them on the side of the road down in Georgia and North Carolina.
Yeah, I tried some in a gas station. They weren't too good.
They sell
To
them
me.
all sorts of different ways. They
Yeah.
sell them, you know.
Spiced up. You can make them in your Instant Pot. It's boiled
Jimmy
peanuts.
Carter was a peanut farmer, right?
Yeah, peanut farmer. Okay. Sitting by the roadside on a summer's day, chatting with my messmates, passing time away, lying in the shadow underneath the trees. Goodness, how delicious, eating goober peas. Oh, peas, 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 eating goober peas. Goodness, how delicious, eating goober peas. Oh, when a horseman passes, the soldiers have a rule to cry out at their loudest, "Mister, here's your mule." But another pleasure enchantinger, even more than these, is wearing out your grinders, eating goober peas. Oh, peas, 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 eating goober peas. Goodness, how delicious, eating goober peas. Want to take it away? Oh, peas, 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 eating goober peas. Goodness, how delicious, eating goober peas. Just before the battle, the general hears a row. He says the Yanks are coming, I hear their rifles now. He turns around in wonder, and what do you think he sees? The Georgia militia eating goober peas. Oh, peas, 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 eating goober peas. Goodness, how delicious, eating goober peas. Another verse or no?
We got 2 minutes.
Okay. I think my song has lasted almost long enough. The subject's really interesting, but rhymes are mighty rough. I wish this war was over, when free from rags and fleas, we'd kiss our wives and sweethearts and gobble goober peas. Oh, peas, 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 eating goober peas. Goodness, how delicious, eating goober peas. It's all yours, Ed. Oh, peas, 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 eating goober peas. Goodness, how delicious, eating goober peas.
Cool. Thanks so much for watching. We're down to about our last 30 seconds.
Okay.
jazzchat.org. We also have a YouTube channel. You can just look up my name. I forgot the address, but we're doing it's going live, YouTube live at the same time. Plus, I have all sorts of other videos on there for teaching, and also the Jazz Chat you can find at jazzchat.org, or also FATV. Thank you so much for watching. We're out of here.
Thanks for having me, Ed.